guys, my name is Julie, and I'm actually making this video with the help of my 11-year-old granddaughter. Her name is Adelina. She's really a big help to me because I am so technically challenged. I would never be able to do this. In fact, I wanted to really talk to you guys about the lasers that I've done, because one of the things that I have found is some lasers really work and some don't, and I didn't want people to waste money on things that really would not make a difference. And so that's my whole reason for doing this. But I am 51, I'm about to be 52. It is February of 2025, and I turned 52 in August. So I still have a half a year basically. But one of the reasons why I started doing this is because I have droopy eye, and I've had droopy eye even when I was younger. But as you age, the droopy eye gets more and more droopy to the point where it will actually affect your vision. And that's why a lot of insurance companies will pay for you to get eye surgery to lift your eyelid. However, surgery is not anything I ever want to contemplate, especially when you talk about the eye. I never, ever want to do that. So I've been looking for alternatives, and one of the things I came across was fibroblast. Now, it's kind of just like a plasma pen. So what they do is they take it and they dot along the upper part of your eye. They can also do it on the bottom part, but I will be honest, I've had that done before, and it kind of made me look older rather than younger, so I didn't like that. But on the upper eye, it actually worked really well. It basically, after they put all these little dots on your eye, and they use numbing cream, but I've had it done with both numbing cream and no numbing cream, and I can actually tolerate pain a little bit more than some people, at least with these things. I can't say with everything. But one of the things that I experienced was that the day of, it didn't seem to hurt or anything like that, but I did remember an intense smell of burning flesh. It really did stink, at least to me. I don't know if anybody else smelled it, hopefully not. I had to wear sunglasses. Thankfully, I'm in Arizona, so it's very sunny, so nobody would ever think anything's weird about wearing sunglasses around. And then also, the second day when I woke up, it actually swelled up. I wasn't sure if I'd even be able to go back to work that next day because it was so swollen. I didn't know if I'd even be able to see out of my eye. After a couple of hours, though, the swelling went down and everything was good. I went to work. It looked a little funny. I explained to people what I've done, and they realized that I do a lot of different procedures, so they didn't think anything of it. And a couple of days later, the little dots that they put on, they scab up a little, and then they fall off. And at that point, everything looks normal to anybody else. I mean, they wouldn't think anything's weird or anything. But what it does is, by doing this burning on the skin, it actually induces collagen. And so it actually helps lift the skin, and it gives it kind of like a surgery effect, and it actually did lift my eye. My boyfriend's very critical, so he was the one that mentioned, hey, your eyes are kind of drooping. And I really started becoming conscious of it, but I was already conscious of it, but it more so, I think, after he said something. But I think the biggest worry to me was the fact that I didn't want to have surgery, and I knew that it could affect my vision later. So anyhow, one of the things that I do is I go on Groupon, and I look for all these different things. Here in Arizona, they have so many med spas that you have places all over you can go to within a relatively short span close to your home. So it's not like I have to travel too far. I can get what I need done. I can go to multiple different places. So if I need to get more than one time of something, I could go somewhere else if they only offer one time on the Groupon. Because one of the things about lasers that I found is that the companies that offer this, they pay a ton more money than you would ever expect for some of these machines. And so when you're making these huge payments for laser processes or procedures, you're paying their payment for that month. And every other person that comes in, they're doing the same thing so that they can pay it off, and then eventually they make a profit. Well, most people don't have the amount that, they want to charge for these different things. But when you go on Groupon, they offer a huge discount, usually half or more taken off. The only problem is with Groupon that, like say you charge, just to make it easy, $100 for something. They make it discounted to $50. Then they take half, so then they're taking $25, and they charge you $5 for the fee for the for just taking the credit card. So basically you end up for $20, you're giving away a $100 procedure. So they don't like to use Groupon other than advertising. They want to try to get you not to use Groupon when you make your payment. Oh, before you buy the Groupon, just come on in, we'll honor that rate. So that's one thing. But, you just have to be careful because sometimes you combine multiple Groupons for the same place and sometimes you can't. Sometimes there has to be a span of time between procedures. This procedure with the plasma pen, you really only have to do like once a year, once every other year. It's not something you have to do all the time. It really does last almost 2 years. And it's actually very cheap because here in Arizona on a Groupon, I paid $100 for my upper eye. No, my mom in Pittsburgh, she actually paid $400 with a Groupon for the same thing. So it just really depends on, I think, like how much competition there is in an area, how many other places there are around a certain vicinity, what they're going to charge you on these things. So for them, that was a great discount. For us, we could have gotten the whole face for way less than that. But, and they do the whole face for the plasma pen too. So fibroblast, it's a quick turnaround time. It just looks funny for a couple of days. Other than that, though, there's really no pain or any kind of adverse effect, I would say, except for the swelling the next day. But that's such a short time. It's like a couple of hours. It's not a big deal. And I would say that it has the longest effect. Now, I've done the HIFU laser at another location in Phoenix, and that showed a very quick result. Like most of these things take a couple of days, a week before you notice a difference. The HIFU laser, I saw an immediate difference. It was a huge difference right away. The only problem is it only lasted for the eyes a couple of months, and then after that you have to get it done again. Now the lady claimed that if I went back and got it done again, that you'd probably have to do it after 90 days and then you're set for about 2 years. I can't say for sure that that's the case because it was so far into Phoenix, I would never want to go that far again. It was just too far of a drive for me. But I would say HIFU laser was my favorite. And I've also done dysport and Botox. I started out with Botox. I use dysport now. They also have Jeuveau. Jeuveau I've used on my chin and neck, but and like around the jawline. But that's really it. Everything else I've pretty much used dysport. Now, one thing about dysport is when you use it on the rest of your face, when you're younger, it might last like 4 months. When you're older, it lasts about 3. And the eyes, for some reason, it doesn't last as long. Like everywhere else is like 3 months, like your forehead. If you use it anywhere else on your face, it lasts longer. But around the eyes, I've noticed it only lasts about 2 months. Now, yesterday I just got dysport, and I told the lady that, the droopy eye is my biggest concern. So she did put some like right here, and then she also did it up here in certain areas which would lift the brow. Now the procedure that I had for the plasma pen was done in 2022. Unfortunately, at that time I didn't have anybody to help me make a video, so I don't really have, it's not active to show you on my face right now. However, I do have some pictures that I took at the time. And so just to let you see the picture now, the first picture you'll see is the very first day that it was done. And you see how the little dots are above my eye. It's not very, very crazy looking. It's basically just little teeny little dots. And really, unless somebody's really close to you, they probably wouldn't notice it from a distance. The second one you'll see when I woke up and how the next day it got kind of like swollen. That was probably after about an hour or so. My eyes were a little bit more open and it wasn't as bad. It was starting to dissipate at that point. And so that was probably the worst of it. And then you'll see after a few days how the little dots start to fall off in the third picture. That continues to happen over the course of about a week. And at that point, then after they've all fallen off, then you start to see the lift. It probably takes a couple of weeks before you really see the difference, but I did see a difference, and it lasted probably between 1 year and 2 years. But because I didn't want to keep on getting that done, I thought, well, maybe there was something else I could try, and that's why I tried the HIFU laser. I didn't, know what that would be like, and I wanted to check all the alternatives just to see which was the easiest. The HIFU laser, I can tell you, like I said, it gave the instantaneous result. It was about the same price through the Groupon. And it wasn't painful either. Some people might find it painful. The lady that I went to, she was really surprised that I didn't have pain. And she actually took a video, which I don't have access to, because she was just so surprised that I didn't have pain. But I can't account for everybody. Everybody's different. And usually I don't have a tolerance to pain, except for with things like this, like laser injections. I don't really have too much problem with that. but I can't say about anything else. But anyhow, you know, I think that any one of these options are good. It just depends on what you're willing to deal with. You know, the healing time with the dysport, there really isn't any. It's like you don't really notice it. You might have a couple little injection point swelling, teeny little swelling. It's a really tiny needle. You'd only notice it for a couple of hours. You don't really have any issues. You might bruise, but I doubt it. I don't have bruising, at least not with dysport. Now maybe with filler, that's different, but not dysport. So you don't really have like the dots and stuff like that. So if you had somewhere to go, probably dysport would be the better option, or even the HIFU laser. HIFU, you don't really have anything that shows up that looks weird or anything like that. It's just that here, there's only 2 companies that I've come across that even do it. So the one is pretty far, the other one was a little more expensive, and so that's why I didn't go to that other that was closer. But I would have to say the HIFU laser was the easiest. It didn't have any swelling or side effects. And as far as the length, I would say the plasma pen, the fibroblast, did the best job as far as like lasting a year to 2 years. And then if you really just don't have the option of HIFU and you don't want to have all the little dots on your eyes for a week, you know, you just want to do dysport, that's probably the quickest, but you got to do it the most often. So anyhow, take a look at the pictures that I had out there and, you know, see for yourself as far as the healing process. I mean, any 3 of these options would be good for droopy eye, but, you know, that's my opinion of it, and hopefully this helps you guys. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. You have a wonderful night.